Hello and welcome to Hexed Encountered. I'm Joe. In this video, we will be doing a first look at the game. Bring out your men, gentlemen. The Battle of Brawner's Farm. This is from Tiny Battle Publishing. It is a Shattered Union series game. It is game 3 in that series. The series was created by Hermann Luttmann, and the second and third volumes were both designed by Claude Whalen, who, obviously, this being the third one, is the designer of this one. So it's a Civil War series, and if you're familiar with Hermann Luttmann's Blind Sword series or Black Swan, which is the series, or the series, I guess, it's going to have further volumes. The initial volume of that was A Most Fearful Sacrifice, which was, of course, a game on the Battle of Gettysburg from the American Civil War. His Blind Sword series has been long running. That one has many games in it, and that one's published, I believe, by Revolution Games primarily. So Most Fearful Sacrifice is a Flying Pig Games release. This is Tiny Battle Publishing, which is the sister company of Flying Pig. They're both run by Mark H. Walker. And so let's take a look here at the back of the box. So it does mention here the Hill of Death. That was the first game. That was the one that Herm Luttmann designed himself. And then Conquering the Valley was the first that was designed by Claude Whalen. And so this one is, as it says here, heavily influenced by his popular or Most Fearful Sacrifice. Herm Luttmann's Shattered Union series is a new line of American Civil War games designed to be accessible to gamers of any experience level. The series aims to provide a playable war game experience in about 3 hours. So that's pretty good. War games can be very, very long, and it's nice to have something where you can have basically set it up, be done with it in an afternoon or an evening or whatever. So following the release of the Hill of Death and Conquering the Valley, Bring Out Your Men, Gentlemen is the third module in the Shattered Union series. The game covers the initial fight of the Second Battle of Manassas, also known as Bull Run. Jackson attacks one Union division, but finds that the Iron Brigade is worthy of its name. Jackson, in that sentence, of course, refers to the famous Confederate General Thomas J. Stonewall Jackson. Players can fight the entire historical battle, a shorter version of the historical fight, or an interesting what-if scenario where more Union forces have a chance to enter the fight. The game is on a different scale than what was used in the first two games in the series, besides using demi-companies. The rules on rallying forces differ, and therefore the game better reflects the stand-up fighting conditions at Brawner's Farm. Now, here on the back, you can see we've got some cards. Now, many of Herm's games use chit activation or cards in place of chits. That's what this is. There are also some events in here. Then we have our little snippet of the map here so you can see the counters and some of the markers. We have a disruption marker here, for example, the good ground marker, and skirmish order right there. Okay, so here we see what's in the box, right? We've got one 22 by 17-inch map, fairly standard size, not too big, but big enough that you get a good look at the battlefield. 252 counters, 62 cards, 2 player aids, 1 series rulebook, and 1 game module rulebook, and 5 6-sided dice, and they are in the colors red, white, black, blue, and gray. Designed by Claude Templeton Whalen, art by Jose R. Fowra. Number of players 2, but solo friendly. Ages 9 and up. That's 9 is low for a war game. Playing time 3 hours, and then you got their social media presence at Facebook and Twitter on here. So let's take a look and see what's in the box here. I took the liberty of removing the shrink wrap. So here are our aforementioned dice in red, blue, white, black, and gray. Here is our deck of 62 cards, and we'll crack into this here in a moment, but this way you have a look at it and you can see what they look like. Here is our series rule book. I usually start with the rule book, so let's follow my standard procedure here. So we'll take a quick look at the series rule book. Okay, so here in here we've got the Shattered Union Overall Series Rulebook Index. So you've got your nice alphabetical index of what's in the rulebook. Then you have a little bit of an introduction. We have our game components, and you can see some of the counters here and what they look like. The scale for this one, there's a regular scale, which is for the series, which is what this is listing. And then we'll see that the scale is a little bit different when we get into the Brawner's Farm specific rule book. So it goes through your basic stuff, your unit counters, right? Your ID is the banner at the top. So you can see it's Gerard, 9th, MC. The 2-letter code is the abbreviation of the formation's commanding general. MC, probably McDowell or McClellan, depending. Then you've got PE, maybe Pemberton, and you've got some cavalry here. The blue-gray number at the bottom left is the unit strength points. So that can be modified by a shaken disrupted marker. Artillery units will have a letter code indicating either rifled guns with an R, smooth bore with an S, or mixed with an M. This is pretty, if you've played any of Hermann's games, this is all pretty kind of standard. And red number at the bottom right is the cohesion rating. So this is an abstract measurement of the unit's elan, experience, and training. The CR can be modified by an applied shaken disrupted marker or event card effect. So those are your numbers there at the bottom. Central graphic will identify the unit as infantry, dismounted cavalry, mounted cavalry, or artillery. We have a fresh side and a battle-worn side. Again, that's kind of a standard of a Luttmann design. Then you have your shaken and disrupted markers, which we'll see when we look at the counters. And miscellaneous markers and chits, the map, game turn, victory point track, our cards, etc. Here's our sequence of play, fairly well laid out here, fairly straightforward, right? Game turn, marker phase, command decision, and you go through each one. This is kind of standard rule booky type stuff, nothing revolutionary here, right? So you've got your command decision phase here. Did I say phrase? Phase. Held formation activation CIC card phase, activation phase. And I'll save the details for when we do the playthrough, which will be coming up shortly. Our fire combat step. And then there's all kinds of rules. You've got line of sight and range, things that you would expect to have in a game, a war game, that is. Elevation, combined brigade firing strength points. Your starting CRT column, the column you'll start with on the combat results table. Ammunition problems, fire combat advantages, etc. Combat's pretty detailed, as you can see. The movement step. And you've got close combat. And you've got stacking limits, etc. Then we've got our end phase. Did I skip a page? No. Okay. And you've got your end phase here. And this nice, in this purpley blue kind of background is in a close combat example. Then you have your end phase. Skedaddle. That's a clever synonym for retreat. Broken units, regrouping, victory determination, and then some more notes here. And then that would be the series rule book, as you can see. So we'll put this over here to the side, and we'll get out our Bring Out Your Men, Gentlemen, the Battle of Brawner's Farm game-specific rule book. So it has kind of the same layout. You've got your components, right? And then you have your elevation levels, which we'll see on the map. Unit IDs, just kind of goes through that. The Union units, from Gibbon's Brigade, the GI at the top would be Gibbon's Brigade. And then here you have Trimble's Brigade. Sorry, I was just reading some of that. I should not do that while I'm going through here. I literally pulled the plastic off right before going into this, so I haven't even really gone through this yet. Command decision phase, activation phase, fire combat, movement, close combat. And you can see you've got smooth and rifled and different. You've got canister, effective range, long range. Note that farm and Warrenton pike hexes do not count as cover. Victory determination, and then our scenarios. So you've got the legends go toe to toe, historic Brawner's farm, and your unit setup here. So you would put the 76th New York at 0418, 56th Pennsylvania at 0518, Monroe, 95th New York, etc. And then the Confederates, you've got 4th Virginia goes at 0709. So you have a specific hex to put these units in. Then you get your list here of reinforcements and so on. Your victory point locations, troop loss victory points, and then Union and Confederate victory points. The Bring Out Your Men, Gentlemen is a what-if scenario. Scenario represents the historical battle, but allows Stark and Patrick's brigades to participate in the fight. It lasts 9 turns from 6 p.m., which is game turn number 1, through 8:40 p.m., game turn number 9. And then we have the same setup here for this. And then you have a short scenario called Brave Men's Tears, which starts at 6:20 and ends after the 8:20 p.m. turn. So a little, late day, twilight sort of fighting here. It says historically the 2nd Wisconsin advanced and tried to capture Wooding's battery, but was instead surprised by Baylor's Stonewall Brigade. The scenario starts with Wooding and the Confederate skirmishers retreating off the field, the 2nd Wisconsin fully advanced, and Baylor's troops beginning to engage the lone Union regiment. All other troops are in their general position, though there is not a specific map that shows where the troops were at 6:40 p.m. The Manassas Park Rangers had a good laugh when I inquired if they had any idea of exactly where troops were at that time. That's a nice little funny anecdote there. Then you've got others, same layout for the scenario. Then we've got our designer notes from Claude Whalen that he toured. He's toured and visited Manassas numerous times. That's something that I haven't done a lot of, is go to battlefields, and I should do that. I don't mean to digress, but I live in the United States. There's Civil War battlefields all over the eastern half of the United States. I am into history. And then on the back here, we do have some of the tables that are also on the player aid card, I believe. Player aid card. There are 2, as it says. So there's one, and here's the other one. They are 2-sided. So this side has your sequence of play, and it's detailed. So you can use this as basically a roadmap to follow to play the game. So it's got all your steps in here, all your phases, command decision phase, held formation, CIC activation card phase, immediate event, and wild card step, fire combat, movement, close combat, skedaddle, broken units, and regroup. And on the other side, we have our CRT, right? So it looks like we roll 2d6, white and red, and we read them as a 2-digit number from 11 to 66. That's, one of the many ways you can use dice. And then you have various columns based on the fire, attack, or strength points. And that's the CRT, and then you get various results in here. Okay, so as I said, we have 2 of these. We will get into the specifics when we do our gameplay video. Second copy. Then we have our map. And I'm gonna save this for last, like I usually do. So let's take a look at the counters. So here are our counters. They come in a baggie. Crack this open. They're in like half sheet format here. Probably so they fit nice and tidy in the box, maybe. But so here you have some some of the Federals or the Union units. So you can see here it's got the ID 56 Pennsylvania, AC, then DD for the commander. Got our nice infantry symbol here, and then our 2 ratings, as mentioned when we looked at the rule book. So you can see there, the other side would show them in their battle-worn state with reductions, appropriate reductions to their abilities. So you've got most of this first sheet is Union forces. We've got some cannon here. At the bottom, we start to get into the Confederates. We've got the 2nd Louisiana there, the 9th Louisiana, and you can see the changes in the colors. It's the same up here. I didn't mention it, though. You can see 2nd Louisiana is kind of a more deep red, and then this is a little bit lighter. Then down here, we've got, what does that say? Coppin's Brigade. 15th Louisiana, 10th Louisiana, etc. Then we've got a whole nother sheet full of Confederates. They obviously had more men on the field than the Union did that day. So same thing. You can see various types of units on here. That indicates what they were. And then again, you have the battle-worn side as well. And we have the big guns, the cannons for the Confederates, as well as the start of markers. So you've got a victory point marker for Brawner's farmhouse, and you've got some skirmish orders. These are also double-sided, of course. You've got Rebel Yell, Good Ground, Chaos, both Confederate Chaos and Union Chaos. Then Union has 2 good grounds and a take these colors. And we've got a bunch of shaken markers with the other side being disrupted. And over here we have the 4th and final one, which again has more markers on it. You have general casualty. So if a general becomes a casualty, we've got one for Baylor, one for Jackson, one for Taliaferro, Lawton, Gibbon, Doubleday, hey, baseball, Hatch, etc. Confederate victory point markers, Union victory point markers, more general casualties, Trimble and Stark, Fortunes of War, Stand to It, the game turn marker, more shaken / disrupted markers. And that is the counter mix. So now it is map time. So it doesn't quite fit in its entirety, but this is pretty much, there's one edge and then there's the other edge at the bottom. So this is most of the map. I'll turn it this way so that we get a better orientation. So you can see Bring Out Your Men, Gentlemen, the Battle of Brawner's Farm. Here's our game turn and victory point track right here. We've got the Little Bull Run here, which is where the Bull Run name for the battle, which is the northern name for the battle, if I remember correctly, is from. You've got the unfinished railroad running through here down the middle. Down at the bottom, you have the Warrenton Turnpike. Over here, you have the Pageland Lane or Pageland Lane. On this side, we have the Lewis Lane. Here's Groveton, Dogan, Groveton Schoolhouse. And you can see the terrain is pretty clearly delineated, so you can tell what everything is. And down here at the bottom, I'm going to have to fold this so it'll fit better. Down here at the bottom, you've got your TEC, your terrain effect chart. And it actually is the terrain effect chart. You've got your clear and farm, 1 movement point. The unfinished railroad, 1 movement point. Woods, 2. Move uphill is a +1. This is pretty standard stuff. Major road, minor road, 1. Bridge, +1. Creeks, +1. And then you can obviously see this is woods. And then you have your elevation that we saw in the rule book. So this would be level 1. And you have level 2. And then it goes up from there. We have level 3 over here and here. And you can see also crest lines around the side. And then at the top here, we have 1 area of level 4 terrain, also, of course, covered with crest lines or indicated by crest lines. So very straightforward, clear map, not too busy. You can tell what everything is at a glance, which is always key for me, in my opinion, when I'm looking at a map. All right, let's look at the cards. So you can see they all say activation card, and there are 62 of them. And they either will have a Confederate color on there. So these would be Confederate cards, of course. And you have Maneuver Baylor. And you roll, and you get one of these 6 things. For no activation, you can activate 2 regiments, artillery and 3, etc. And then there are also events that you can play immediately if it says play immediately. So this would be play this event on any rebel unit. The Union player must roll die against the CR, that's the cohesion rating of that unit. If the die roll is equal or less than the CR, no effect. If the die roll is greater than the CR, you apply a shaken result. So then you've got Rebel Yell event, Rally Round the Flag, Murderous Volleys, several of those. And then you have, again, Trimble, Taliaferro, Stark, Lawton, Baylor, CICA, that's Jackson, of course. And then another event for Good Hold. Then we have the Friction of War card. Discard the next drawn activation card without it having an effect. So that's a card I've seen in some of his other games. Again, this is based on, to some extent, a Most Fearful Sacrifice. So some of these are things that are in that game as well. Fog of War card, where you have to roll. And then, again, this is an 11 to 66 result, and it'll tell you what to apply there. And then we've got more Confederate stuff here, right? So they're kind of organized in that way. Then we have our Union cards. So we have the Colonel is down, take those colors, stand to it, rally around the flag, murderous volleys. Then we have maneuvers for Patrick, Hatch, Gibbon, Doubleday, good ground, and then we're back into these. And then you have defend, Patrick, Hatch, Gibbon, Doubleday, confusion, attack, and attack. So that is what the cards look like. And I will, of course, shuffle these before I actually play the game. But this gives you a good look at the entirety of the game. There you go. Bring out your men, gentlemen. The Battle of Brawner's Farm. Look for the gameplay video coming soon. That's going to do it for now. As always, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to post them. I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. But that's going to do it for this one. I thank you for watching. My name's Joe. This is the Hexed Encounter channel. And until next time, as always, happy gaming.